cruising nicely into a cold morning here in Nairobi and its environs. But if you're watching us from anywhere else in the world, let us know how that looks like in terms of weather conditions. It's very, very chilly in Nairobi. It's been raining for 2 days in a row now. Yesterday, the same case in the morning. Late in the afternoon, there were rains into the night, and even coming this morning now, still the same weather. The weather forecast that I read yesterday on Art and Culture Monday still stays that throughout this week we're expecting rainfall on various parts of the Republic. I've actually had a look at some of the news updates here from our newsroom, and it looks like throughout July we are going to have unexpected rains. So Kenyans should brace for heavy rains starting the July of 8th, which was yesterday, and this is supposed to continue in 8 regions, including Kiambu, Nyandarua, with expectations of 25 millimeters of rainfall. In Nairobi, some parts of the city will see moderate showers, while the coastal and regions will face varied weather conditions from dry spells to thunderstorms. So this is expected to happen in most parts of the country, in the Rift Valley region, in Nairobi, in Kiambu, and also in the semi-arid regions, which will be expecting to experience thunderstorms. So prepare yourself there very well if you're moving around in these regions. Have a look at what the Meteorological Department of Kenya has put out on the website and also on their social platforms in terms of what you can expect in this July. Unexpected rainfalls, they should not get you unexpected as well. Imagine with those rains going on in the country and even in Nairobi, there are medical interns who kept vigil at the Afya House in Nairobi, the headquarters of the Ministry of Health, in the new hashtag Occupy Everywhere movement, which is now being taken over independently by various factions across the Republic. The medics who are decrying the implementation of the 2017 CBA, an agreement that was made way back when Uhuru Kenyatta was president and has not been implemented, from the payment of salaries which are still accumulating, the posting of medical interns who've been waiting for that, some from even as far back as December of 2022. Yesterday, a couple of them, actually a bunch of them, slept right outside the Afya House in the Nairobi capital city of Kenya. They are asking the ministry to have the CS either resign or post them as soon as possible, and they'll be continuing this strike throughout the week, as of the statements from the Kenya Medical and Practitioners Dentist Union. KMPDU is saying that this to continue even as we've seen that happen overnight. That takes a lot of strength to sleep outside in the current weather conditions just to fight for your rights. And this is brewing up or leading to today, where I'm seeing the hashtag that is top trending on Twitter is hashtag Occupy CBD Tuesday. Occupy CBD Tuesday. Maandamano still going on. The young people are saying they are not relenting. They will continue today by occupying the major highways and also marching all the way to the CBD. On my way here to the studios, I saw a lot of anti-riot police officers, vehicles streaming into the Nairobi CBD, likely preparing for an incoming protest that will, of course, see them very busy if activities from the previous sessions in the previous weeks of protests are something to go by. So Occupy CBD Tuesday is trending here alongside hashtag Ruto must go. Many activities have kept the president busy as well in these past weeks of demonstrations, from him withdrawing the finance bill or sending it back to Parliament for deletion of all the clauses, which is essentially withdrawing the finance bill as was suggested earlier, and signing in the appropriation bill, which is supposed to finance the activities of the nation and the ministries into the next financial year. The appropriation bill of 2024 allocated around, I think, 1.8 trillion Kenyan shillings. I'll be getting those exact figures that I had here with me, and this is supposed to be in place of the finance bill of 2024, which will not ascend to law. Today, the president is also busy signing into assent the IEBC bill, which is a result of the NADCO report, the National Dialogue Committee, which went into conversation last year from the Finance Bill of 2023. So the Finance Bill conversation has been building up for quite some time now. We are seeing some of those results from last year today. The president has invited everyone, the public and also the state and other ministries, to come and witness, of course, that signing happening at KICC. This is the first result of the NADCO report. Something else that the president has been up to over the weekend is he appointed a task force to have a look at the debt situation of the republic. However, just yesterday evening, the High Court struck out this and has dealt a blow to President William Ruto by temporarily suspending this independent task force which he appointed last week. The task force was supposed to audit what amount of public debt the republic has. This, of course, is part of decry by the protesters that, of course, we have runaway corruption and we're spending so much on so many offices and our debt still shooting up. The president has been dealt a blow by the High Court just days after one of the people he appointed into this task force, which is the Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo, who declined as being named as part of the team picked into this activity. This was a sort of usurping the Auditor General role, and we're having a look at that conversation here. If the Constitution mandates the Auditor General and gives the Auditor General powers to have a look at our books, our financial records, what is this independent task force meant to do that isn't enshrined in the Constitution to the powers of the task force or to the powers of the Auditor General, and also a parliamentary oversight committee which has a look at what the Ministry of Treasury is up to and what amount of money we are spending in what offices and what amount of money we are borrowing. That conversation is really important, and that's why we have prepared it for you here on Biashara Tuesday. We're having a look at that and the Public Finance Act, which is there on the Chapter 12 of the Constitution of Kenya. Have a look at Chapter 12 and see what provisions are there in the Public Finance Act. The Public Finance Act is supposed to help us in terms of following up with the budgeting of the republic, as well as oversight into the budget information. Citizens have the right to see how much government funds are allocated and how they are spent. Public participation in budgeting, opportunities for us to provide input into the budgeting process, as well as giving oversight powers to a parliamentary committee and the Auditor General. In light of these appointments by President William Ruto, we'd like to have a look at this from a constitutional angle, but also from the angle of one of the young people who've been out there agitating for oversight into the government expenditure, of course, following this maandamano period that we've had from the Reject Finance Bill to now what has brewed up into anti-government protests. So I have over for a conversation Dennis Kimani. Dennis Kimani is the chairman of the Youth Green Society. We did lose Dennis Kimani for a few days 2 weeks ago after the biggest protest of the Reject Finance Bill, which happened on the 25th of June 2024. Luckily, he was found, and he'll be here to let us know how the events were like during and after the protest, which were very unfortunate on his end, the scuffle with the police officers, and eventually his disappearance. Now he is back. We'll be joining us here on the set to have a look at that and, of course, his sentiments into the way forward into oversighting the government. He'll not be alone here. We've an expert who is a policy and governance analyst, Brian Sengeli. Brian Sengeli will be alongside Dennis Kimani to have a look at the headlines in the newspaper, but definitely the most important conversation is the Public Finance Act of the Constitution, which is Chapter 12, the appointments by President William Ruto, and how exactly can we track the expenditure and be involved as citizens in oversighting the finance situation of the republic. Those are the conversations which will be happening around the headlines of the day. So grab yourself a copy of the dailies and be informed so that you're up to speed to the conversations we're having here. Young people, still, even with the situation in the republic, we're looking for jobs, we're looking for opportunities, we're looking for a way to earn an income. How do you transition to a workplace? How do you become workplace fit so that you're securing your employment, you're securing your career path? That's the conversation we're also having here with Rose Kainda, who's an author, CEO, and founder of Virtue Plus. Transitioning to the workplace, we're having that conversation, as I told you there, with Rose, the CEO and founder of Virtue Plus, which is an agency which is focused on mentoring, training, and coaching. She's also a publisher of 6 books, and one of them co-authored. She'll have a look at those books. Yesterday, we had a conversation with an author, another different author here today. But the main conversation is how you can transition to the workplace. How do you deal with your employer, colleagues, and ensure that you're effectively delivering as what your job is requiring you to do? That is what we have here for you this morning on Biashara Tuesday. Interact with us on social platforms. Any questions you have, any feedback, please leave it in the comment sections as well. We're streaming on YouTube, KUTV Kenya. Where you can tag us online is at KUTV_Kenya. My personal handles at Richard_OKENYE. Coming back with the road updates, and then we go on with the rest. Stay tuned. All right, I thought today I should give you a quick rundown of 20 general traffic rules in Kenya before we give you the updates on what is happening out there on the roads. I did this 2 weeks back, and so if you missed it, I'll just steal from scratch the general traffic rules that you should be observing in Kenya when you're on the highways. I had 20 of them. Hopefully, I'll get to read them as quick as possible. So drive on the left side if you're in Kenya, and always wear a seatbelt. Do not the influence of to pedestrians at crosswalks. Stop at red lights. Maintain a safe following distance. Do not overtake on blind corners or on hills. Use your horn sparingly and only necessary. Use your horn sparingly and only when necessary. Dim your headlights when you're approaching oncoming traffic. Prado users, dim your headlights when you're approaching oncoming traffic. Be aware of border borders in Kenya. That's also a traffic rule, and matatus and mini buses. Be aware of speed limit around 110 kilometers, and outside of the highways is between 110 to 130. So that is the information. 80 kilometers per hour on single-use lanes. On highways, 110 kilometers per hour. In other regions, 110 to 130. Give way to emergency vehicles such as ambulances, police officers, and fire trucks. Police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks. Those are the general updates I have for you here. CBD, situation kumenuka. Hivyo ndio Dani anatuambia, situation kumenuka, anti-riot officers wamejaa huko. So as I said earlier as well, I did notice vehicles of police officers who look like anti-riot police officers making their way to the CBD. Na Dani ako CBD, tuambia pia hivyo ndo kunakaa. Anasema CBD kumenuka. That's the statement from Dani in the CBD. Alright, Thika Road kumeshikana sana also from Utalii all the way to town. That's the traffic situation on the side towards town, but from town kunakaa kuko salama sana. Mombasa Road kumeshikana from GM, watu ambao wako GM. Mkwe mmejipanga mapema zaidi. Kiambu Road, I don't know what happened, but hakuna traffic leo. So watu wa Kiambu Road wanasema wamefurahia how it looks like. But if there's traffic from Utalii to town on Thika Road, it means from Muthaiga watu wa Kiambu Road, that's why joy ends. So kutoka Kiambu all the way to Muthaiga looks fine, but onwards there hakuna hope for you to reach as early as possible. So tafuta route nyingine, tumia Runda huko ndani, tumia the former Atwoli Road, which was renamed back to Dick Road. Upate njia huko, you find your way to town. Watu ambao wako sides za Westlands pia wanasema there is a lot of there's a snarl up right at the roundabout of Westlands. Hapa kuna nini? Hajui kuna nini hapo mbele, and this is straight down to Museum the sides of Museum and Parklands. Yeah, so Kagema ako sides za Museum Hill and Parklands. Nasema kumeshikana. That is what we have. James Gishuru looks clear if you're joining Westlands through Wayaki Way. James Gishuru kunakaa sawa. That's what I have. Yes, those are the updates that we have there. And of course, the updates that I gave you earlier were the traffic rules. There are traffic acts which are there in the Constitution. I feel like we will be going through this in every other show coming forward, but those are the grounding rules for you if you're using the highways in Kenya. Hizo 10 ambazo nimesoma, we could start with that. Drive on the left, and the others that I already gave there, the speed limits, which vehicles you should give way to, which side of this the road you should use in Kenya, which is left, and also give priority to those who are on the roundabout. Do not use your mobile phone while driving. Na watu wa Prado na TXS, dim your headlights when you're approaching oncoming traffic. Situation as of now, 10 degrees Celsius where I'm at, and the forecast throughout the day, hourly forecast from 11 a.m. there's going to be rainfall. Rainfall from 11 a.m. in Nairobi, likely 12 to be heavy rainfall in CBD and its environs of Kiambu, as well as Machakos. So Machakos, Nairobi CBD kutanyesha from 12. And Wednesday, there will be cloudy with chances of precipitation, but not so much as today. And then Thursday, we are back to rainfall. Friday, Saturday is the same thing. So prepare yourself, carry your umbrella, dress warmly. Kama uko kwingine, and the weather situation is a bit different, do inform us. But again, as I said, from the updates I see here from KUTV Newsroom, July is going to experience unexpected rainfall in 8 regions, from the central to Rift Valley to the coastal region, and then the semi-arid and arid regions of Garissa, Turkana, and the likes of Wajir to expect thunderstorms. So there's going to be thunderstorms and also unexpected rainfall. Be prepared for that as you go out and you prepare for work and business. Coming up is a conversation to transitioning to the workplace with Rose, who is a CEO, Rose Kainda, CEO and founder and lead consultant at Virtue Plus. She is a facilitator at Virtue Plus, which is a community of business owners here whose intention is to ensure that they help businesses mature between a period of 3 to 5 years. The average period in Kenya for a startup, the lifeline, is usually 4 years. 4 years, it's either dead or it has matured and become successful. Here at Virtue Plus, 3 to 5 Club, they're trying to ensure they mature ethical businesses between 3 and 5 years. She'll give us a hint into that. She's also an author of 6 books. Let us know a bit about that and her writing journey, but also the most important conversation that I'm having with Rose Kainda is transitioning to workplace. As the young people are getting out of school, graduation is coming up next week at Kenyatta University. Last week on Friday, JKUAT graduated their class. What are they preparing themselves to do out there, and how best can they put their foot forward as they get into the workplace? Prepare for that conversation. Send me your questions online. I will be having a look at that. Don't go too far.
Kenyatta University will hold its 55th graduation ceremony on Friday, 19th July 2024 at the main campus along the Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV and KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. The theme for the graduation ceremony is education for prosperity and sustainable development. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pa si vuguvugu. Pepo pa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
You need to look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, you know Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga tuchini hapo kinyevyo kikatia mademo akipita.
Sinaweza saa hii nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Kama wanavyosema wenyewe, tumefikiwa. Wenye upara sasa wanaweza kufanyiwa upandikizaji wa nywele kitaalam. Wiki hii tunamwangazia Daktari Winnie Maina ambaye aliamua kufanya matibabu ya kipekee ya urembo.
Alopecia is a general term for hair loss, okay? But then within that alopecia, we have so many causes of hair loss. Upara itself is hair loss, it's alopecia.
Ungana nami Jumatano hii katika kipindi cha Mwanamke Mwake Mwake ufahamu zaidi.
Kaka mtazamaji popote ulipo, unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show
inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
Get ready to embark on a journey into the exciting world of technology as we uncover the latest trends, interview top thought leaders, and dive deep into the world of tech like never before.
Currently, we are facing the challenge in terms of finance. It requires one to move from different counties because we really need a large data set for our model to be more accurate.
In this new and exciting series of the Technovation Show, join me, Yvonne Kimuma, every Monday 8:30 p.m. for a fun and thrilling experience as we explore the cutting-edge developments, meet visionaries driving change.
Somebody who is in the underground mine doesn't know the presence of those gases. So there are a lot of gases involved. There is methane, there is carbon monoxide, and there's also hydrogen sulfide. These gases actually, they are very dangerous and they're very toxic.
And discover the endless possibilities of the tech world.
We are back on air, KUTV Kenya, KUTV Rise Today. I'm always happy to see you join us on the live stream and on your television sets, free to air Signet. Alafu pia YouTube tuko pale KUTV Kenya. So ukifika pale, leave a comment, let us know where you're watching this show from, who you'd like to tune into the show. And if you're a young person, if you graduated from JKUAT last week on Friday, you're probably thinking, how do I prepare myself for the workplace? If you're graduating next week on Friday, there's Kenyatta University 55th graduation ceremony that we just showed you there, an advert that's happening on the 19th of July. So there's a class of more than 5,000 people who are going to graduate from Kenyatta University. How can they prepare themselves for the workplace? In this age of artificial intelligence, in this age of technical skills which are required, the president is talking about us trying to get jobs outside of this republic. How can you prepare yourself for all these different various settings of the workplace? What skills do you need emotionally, and also any other skills that our guest of the day will let us know of? Her name is Rose. She is from Virtue Plus. She let us know of what goes on at Virtue Plus, what her role is there, and of course also informs me there's something happening in August, and she will let us in on that. If it's something that you can participate, get yourself ready to mark your calendars. Let me welcome her. Good morning to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here today.
Right. Very, very excited to have this conversation. I am not alienated from the skills young people need to the workplace. You're actually at my workplace, which means there are skills I need to survive right here, and I will be taking notes alongside.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Right. Please introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we can get into the rest of the details.
Awesome. My name is Rose Kainda. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtue Plus. Virtue Plus is a Christian agency that focuses on three main things. We do Christian publishing. Secondly, we do leadership development. That's in form of training, consultancies, strategic development processes, and then we do mentoring and coaching. And so we are so delighted to be here today because one of the things that I am looking forward to, as you mentioned, is a training that we have in August that focuses on equipping the youth with practical skills, wisdom, as well as knowledge in terms of how to navigate the space and actually bridging the gap between the college work, the gap between college, university, and then the workplace. So we are really looking forward to having that training so that we can be able to interact with the youth in light of today's world. So it's a delight for me to be here today.
Nice. We'll get into the details, if something they can apply to come through, and what the exact dates are. I was having a look at your profile here.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is something you wanted to talk about, but I know you have two young adults.
Yes, I do.
How do they find their way around navigating this, transitioning from academics to workplace? What is their general feel?
First of all, the two young adults have now, one of them is still in college. He's actually a first year at MUA. The other young adult just started work yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So it's really, really an excitement for me as a parent, and perhaps just to say at this particular point that I'm so grateful to God that He has been able to make that milestone. But to get back to the question that you have asked,
yes,
one of the things that we have done always at home is run through a very biblical value system, a holistic value system that enables us to navigate our workspace at home, and when they are at school, and of course at church, and in the social relationships that they have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Many young people struggle to find careers that align with their passions or their purpose, and it's a really big conversation between, I have passion for this. How can I find a way to make a living? How can I transition from academia to, this thing that I feel is my purpose? What advice can you give them in trying to navigate this challenge, in getting their head straight, to get into work? They say that if you find work that you like, you will never work for the rest of your life. How can they get to that point?
There are two things that I have found very helpful, and I have worked with some youth that I have actually worked with like over the last 15 years. And one of the things that we have nailed down to is what is your talent? What is your gift? What is it that causes you to drive? You know, what is it that gives you the greatest joy as you attend to it? Now, many times we realize that sometimes we don't get to pursue that in our educational pursuits. Perhaps sometimes our parents have decided that my son, my daughter, you know, pursues this career because it's very prestigious, and it's okay. I am a parent, I understand that.
Yeah.
But then we have also heard of instances where, as parents, we have worked with our children and we have told them, okay, do this. But they have done that, and come and said, Mom, Dad, thank you very much.
Yeah,
you supported me in that.
certificate.
Here are your certificates. Let me now pursue what I wanted. So when I'm saying that, because then if we are able to understand our children and realize that there is a very special gifting, you know, a very special talent that God has ordained in them, and He did in everybody. And so if we are able to recognize that at a very early age, then we can be able to mentor them towards that, because that is literally what will cause them to thrive in the workplace. And there isn't a single gift, there isn't a single talent that is not useful for the community, for the society. So that is one. Use of our gifts, being able to understand really what I have been created for. In fact, that takes me to the next thing.
Yeah.
Being purpose oriented. Now, as a youth, many times, again, this is through my experience, youth are not led by purpose. They are led again by the careers that they have taken, by the glittering things in life. But there is a place for purpose.
Okay.
Purpose is where, for example, we are here today and we are asking, what is troubling the youth in the nation? Now, purpose will mean that we want to go to the root cause of the trouble, so that then we can be able to provide solutions to that. Purpose would mean that kuna what do I want to call it? It will mean that a family is disintegrated. What is the root cause for that disintegration?
Okay.
So somebody will perhaps, through their psychology that they have been taught in class, become psychologists to be able to reconcile,
I see where
families.
The purpose is. Okay.
So purpose becomes such a fundamental foundation for any youth, for any person to be able to thrive. Yes.
I see. Now, when we speak of purpose and also, young people transitioning from the world of academia to the workplace, a young person who's just gone through 16 years of education, and then let's say it's 844, so that's 12, 16. Yeah, so if it's medical school, it's 847 or 848. And then they're like, you won't tell me I need other skills again to learn new skills to go out there in the workplace. Is there a difference in, the gap that is there in the skills I need while in school and the skills that I need in the workplace? How do I reconcile that after having gone to school for that long?
Actually, it's not hard. The thing is, if you are able to get to that point where you realize that I am built for something unique, okay? Then you can be able to run with that. However, even if you're pursuing something that is not purpose-oriented, it is okay to serve the nation, but at the back of your mind, know that there is a purpose that I need to achieve. So the question begs then, how do I bridge in? And that's actually what I think you are asking.
Yes.
So it is then to be very aware of that, but in the process, allow yourself to understand what purpose is, and allow yourself not to be perhaps dissuaded by other people, because everyone has a very specific line, has a very specific path that we always need to work with or to follow, so that then we can be able to bring out that purpose. And it is in purpose. For example, we serve in leadership positions. We serve. And leadership positions, I don't mean just, for example, in schools, in governments, in businesses. Wherever you are a leader. You are leading us here today. This is a leadership position. So the question is, if this is what God has ordained you for, the question begs, how do you develop yourself further as you are here? Because you have already started. How do you develop yourself further to be able to serve your audience, to be able to serve the nation of Kenya, to be able to serve the world, for example? So it is just being aware. Again, awareness comes at 3 different levels. As a believer, I believe that first of all, you have to be aware of God, because God again is the one who creates us and weaves in, the desires of our hearts, the talents. But then be aware of yourself. Like now, I am talking of a purpose. What are my weaknesses towards achieving that purpose? What are my strengths towards achieving that purpose? So then, after being God aware, after being yourself aware, you need to be aware of the people around you, even of the people that you're serving. Again, just to double click a little on leadership, and this is one of the things that really we are going to be focusing on during the training. Leadership is primarily about 3 things. You as a leader, what are my strengths? Could my strengths, for example, be weaknesses to the people that I'm leading? Once you are able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, then you need to ask yourself, the followers, the people that I'm leading, the people that I'm leading with, how do they affect my leadership? And what are the situations around which I am leading? What is happening on the ground, as it were? Mambo kwa ground ziko vipi? That's what I hear you people asking.
Mambo kwa ground ni different.
Exactly. So when we talk about leadership, that becomes such a critical thing to look through. 3 things: you, the leader, the people that you are leading and leading with, those are your followers, and then the situations around you.
Yeah, I hear there that leadership is not a preserve of some people. Everyone is a leader in their own capacity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Even leading yourself is leadership in itself. Yeah.
That is personal leadership.
Right.
Yes.
So you have a background in leadership studies?
Yes. And actually, I'm still a student of leadership.
Oh, where is that?
Yes.
So if you can hear more about it and how that is going.
It's going on well. I am a student at International Leadership University.
Nice.
Where we really focus on transformational leadership.
Okay.
I am doing my master's, and I am just getting so thrilled by the knowledge and the skills that I'm gaining. For a long time, having led Virtue Plus and other places that I have worked, I thought I was a leader. But I realized, yes, I thought I was a leader, but I realized there is much, much more.
Okay.
Because it is so diverse, it touches literally the society. It opens up the society to you. So I am a better leader today because I'm pursuing my leadership studies. And that is actually why I am talking to you about the 3 key areas that a leader ought to be very aware of. Me as a leader. What are those things that I think, for example, my ability to be very persuasive, could that be a weakness? The fact that I can persuade you so much until I close you to the questions you should be asking me. Could that be a challenge?
Yes.
Or the fact that I am so visionary, being visionary is good, so visionary, but I look into 5 years, I look into 10 years in terms of what I want to do, but I forget what is happening today.
And that's why awareness comes in, so that you're able to see.
Absolutely. And that's why also the third aspect comes in, being aware of the situations around you.
Okay.
Yes.
I was having a look at 3 to 5 club.
Yes.
What is 3 to 5?
Okay.
We are used to 9 to 5,
yes.
8 to 4.
Yeah.
3 to 5 club, you can let us know of what that is, the concept of 3 to 5, and how you're helping young professionals navigate their initial years in their careers. And I had a question, because it is about about ethical businesses, maturing ethical businesses, right? And even for young people who are not necessarily seeking to start a business, an entrepreneurial mindset is something that can be very beneficial. We try and do that here as well. How can young adults cultivate that entrepreneurial mindset?
Okay, that's so mouthful a question, but I'll try and
from 3 to 5
through,
to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, 3 to 5 is a business club. It's actually modeled in the US, but we have contextualized it here in Kenya so that it becomes real for us as Kenyans. 3 to 5 means 3 to 5 years. When you get into business, you become very intentional in maturing that business, in ensuring that you have laid down the processes, the systems within a business so that it is stabilized between 3 and 5 years. Okay. So that is where the name 3 to 5 Club comes in. Now, let me just say this at that point. I started Virtue Plus full-time in 2020. When COVID just started. And it was quite a difficult path, especially at the beginning. But then it was in 2021 that I joined the 3 to 5 Club, or I was trained as a facilitator to facilitate the 3 to 5 Club. And there is one striking nugget that I got from the 3 to 5 Club that I've run with, and I share with other business people that I interact with, that businesses do not fail. Businesses don't fail.
Okay. Is it the business leaders who fail?
Business leaders give up.
Okay.
We give up perhaps because as we start, we have quite some expectations that we expect to meet, maybe within a certain time frame, or maybe not within a certain time frame, meaning that we were not fully prepared. We didn't do the expected groundwork, maybe some little research here and there to be able to determine how will it look for me in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So that for me changed my worldview.
So is it that every business can succeed?
Every business can succeed.
Okay.
If one, you have a clear vision for it. I should have started there. Because vision is what matters. What do you expect to see? Is that vision that you have as you start the business driving you? Is it the motivation towards what you do every single day? And once you have that vision, do you have, for example, a simplified, not the conventional 50, 60, 100 pages strategic plan that we use? Because sometimes we use consultants, and consultants, I am one, I honor you. We use consultants, to come up with all these strategic plans, but we put them in the shelves. But if you have something that is actually driven by your vision, that is a simplified strategic plan that informs your everyday work in your business. You are asking yourself, what am I doing today to meet my objective for the week, my objective for the month, my objective for the quarter, my objective for the year? You see, so it means that you're working towards next year, but you're in touch with next year today, if that makes sense.
I can see. Yeah.
So that's why I am here saying very confidently, because I have tested this and it has worked, businesses do not fail.
Yeah.
It is the business person
who gives up.
Okay. And the giving up could be as a result of lack of unpreparedness, lack of knowledge, lack of skills.
All right.
And that is actually now where we come in as the 3 to 5 Club, so that we can bring together different business people to be able to share these nuggets, to sharpen each other. In fact, we say at the 3 to 5 Club, you are never alone at the top. No.
It's not lonely at the top.
It's not lonely at the top. Yes.
There are others with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. The entrepreneurship mindset for young people, how can they cultivate that earlier before they get even into their careers? And why is that important, if you may delve a bit into that?
I think that's such a critical area to consider, not just in our country, but in the world. And yes, of course, I will zero in our country, because our economy is built through entrepreneurship, through businesses. Even if I were to talk about the little mama bogas, every week we go to the market to pick skuma, to pick viaz, whatever. We pick that. There is that mama mboga who never gives up day in, day out. They are causing the economy of this country to thrive because of the day-to-day transactions. Now, for a young person, one of the things that I am very grateful to God for is the development that we have in technology, because that has opened up so much space in terms of what we can do or what we can't do. Perhaps I should say what we can do, because I don't think today there's nothing that we can't do.
Technology is helping.
Technology is so helpful. So the question for me in my heart, and I believe now for the youth, to be able to have an entrepreneurial mindset, it's to be in a position where we are saying, I have this skill, I have this knowledge. Should I really, really wait to be employed? If you are, of course, the answers can be yes or no. If your answer is yes, what else can you do while you are waiting? If your answer is no, if you really want to change the economy, if you really want to employ others, if you really want to become so creative such that 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years down the line, we will remember you, okay? There is a space for you. But you need to be so alert in terms of what is it that you want to do. Because you will not follow entrepreneur A or entrepreneur B because they are successful. It is because there is some creativity in you. It could be, yes, in IT. It could be even in the engineering sector. It could be anywhere. Again, we are looking at, one, the skills that you have gained. Two, the talents within you. I have looked at people who do arts, and I'm thinking, there is something in them which I cannot do. There is something in them which somebody else cannot do. So really tapping into the ingenuity in me, and then the skills that I've gained, through my education system, the knowledge that I've gained through my education system, through the collaborations that I've had at school. That is exactly what becomes very important for us to go out there and become entrepreneurs. But also realizing that entrepreneurship, first of all, going back to where we started about the 3 to 5 club, we go into business thinking that I want to make money, a lot of money.
I've seen Elon Musk making billions. I want to also be a billionaire.
And we of course have our own Elon Musks here in the nation. And you are focused to be after that Elon Musk, the Elon Musk of Kenya, or even the one of
Dangote of Nigeria.
But then, as I talked earlier, what have you put in place so that you can become that Elon Musk? So are there problems that you have identified in the community, in the society, in Kenya, here in Nairobi where we are at, that you want to resolve? Because entrepreneurship is about resolving problems in the community.
So you look at the problems and have a look at your ingenuity and the skills
Absolutely.
you have.
So then that gives you a fundamental foundation in which to lay, to kind of now thrust yourself into the space of entrepreneurship.
Nice. I really like it. Can I be a part of 3 to 5?
Please, you're welcome. Karibu sana.
How does that work? I'd really be helpful. It'd be helpful for me in terms of entrepreneurship.
In fact, what we do, first of all, we have monthly meetings. We meet twice every month on the first and third Wednesday of the month. We meet between 7 and 9 in the morning. And this is why we believe that as business people, we need to meet together first in the morning when we are fresh. think through the challenges we have in our businesses, sharpen each other. And then after we are sharpened, go and release that into our businesses. So that's how we do. We allow you, it's more or less like a membership club, yeah? There is a fee to it.
Yes.
So what you do is we allow you to come and taste our food, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Can I fit
Can
here?
I fit it? Yeah.
Are the discussions in this club helpful to me? Can they help my business move to the next level? So it is as easy as that.
Okay.
And in fact, we have a meeting on the 17th of this month.
How do we check website or apply or?
We have a website.
Okay.
And it is under development.
Okay.
Because I think it was hacked not too long ago.
Ooh.
So I have just actually gotten one young man in our 3 to 5 club is the one who is now redeveloping it again.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is virtueplus.co.ke.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it is under development right
now. And we'll
now.
let them know at the end of the conversation how they can find you.
Absolutely.
In case they need that information.
Yes.
So in the workplace, there are different work environments.
Yeah.
And, not all workplaces are the same. How can young people adapt in different work cultures? You'd go to this company, they behave differently. This is how you approach the CEO here. Huku kwingine CEO asalimi wangu. Huku kwingine CEO ni more friendly. Yeah. How do I learn to adapt and ensure I thrive? Na sikosei mtu, I bring this culture to a different work environment. It messes me up so that I am always in the right space regardless of the workplace I'm working from.
An excellent question. Because just looking at the term culture itself, it's so diverse. So diverse. Because KUTV here as a different culture. Where I come from, Virtue Plus, as a different culture. Now, to be able to adapt into a certain culture, there are 2 critical things that needs to happen to the young people, and actually this one cuts across. One, first understand your own culture, because you have a personal culture. And this is where I point at the things that you believe in. What are your values? What are those principles that are so key to you that you can't break? What informs your conversations? What informs your work? What informs the relationships that you're in? Values are so imperative because they mold us. What we see is as a result of the values that we believe in, the principles, the beliefs. And values could have been cultivated while we were growing up. But as we talk about the youth, you realize that as you grow up, you realize I have to have my own personal culture. For us at Virtue Plus, we believe in a godly culture. So whether it is creativity, whether it is accountability, whether you call it godliness or whatever you want to call it, it has to be godly, because we believe our culture, first of all, is from God, because when God created the human beings, he said he created us in his own image and likeness. So before anything else, we have the likeness of God. So that is the culture that we want to take out there. So for the youth then, what is your personal culture? What are those values that you believe in? Now, when you assess yourself and have understood you, now you have come here, you have been perhaps you have gotten a job, and you are ready to go and work. What is the culture of this organization that you have been onboarded into? Is it congruent with your own culture? When I talk about congruence, I'm asking, do they align? Because there are organizations which really are not given into some personal cultures that we believe in. So how will you navigate that dichotomy? It means that you be very intentional with yourself, such that if there are values in that organization that I don't believe in, my friend, you will be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
You will live a double standard life. You will be working every single day, but by the time you are leaving for home, you feel distraught. You feel disturbed. You feel Like, no, God, take me away from, I can't
tomorrow.
go back.
Yes.
So it is important that there is a congruence, that there is an alignment.
Yeah.
However, as I say that, look at the skills that you have, okay? When you look at the skills that you have and the values that you've set for yourself, when we are looking at for jobs, actually it is okay to target
the jobs
organizations
aligning
and the jobs that align with you. Again, because we talked about talent, this is the place where you can thrive. Because you have support from the organization, you have support from within you. There is the motivation, that comes from within you. Because as much as we get motivated from our workplaces, the greatest motivation is that which is intrinsic within you.
Yeah. Is there a place for compromise? Maybe the deal is so sweet and, I'm like, I can compromise a bit just for that deal. Is there a place for that?
Now, that is where ethics come in. As I've mentioned, or even as you said earlier, we promote ethical leadership. We promote ethical businesses. Ethics means that we do that which is right.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
And this is yes, firstly, because of course we are following after God. But as a human being, it is in us to actually be humane. Yeah? Do unto others what you'd want them to do for you.
Yes.
So compromising will actually mean compromising your own life.
Yeah. Okay. You're not compromising the work. You're
not compromising
yourself.
the work. It is you are compromising.
Okay.
And by the way, again, because the organizations that we are seeking that we compromise for, in one occasion, they will be thriving, you will be the one down.
Yeah.
And you will be the one followed up. We have heard of organizations that have literally been brought down because of lack of ethical or issues, because of having no values, or perhaps they have written a value system, a mission and all that, but they do not follow through that.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So do not compromise, yeah? And make sure you have a set of principles that guide you, ethics and all of that. Mental well-being in the workplace is a question that I had. And for young people, young adults, they now are prioritizing mental health a bit more. And we'd hope that is something that is continuing, though there are others who still find it difficult. As I said there, even in that previous question, you're in a work environment, maybe initially you didn't know, it doesn't align to your values. But sasa ushafika, you already onboarded, you're working, and then you realize, hey, how I relate to these colleagues is affecting me this way. How I relate to my boss, it's not working well for me. How can what can young adults employ to ensure that they're prioritizing their mental well-being in a way that will allow them to navigate the demanding careers that they might pick along the way?
Again, I want to really congratulate you for the questions that you're asking.
Yes, thank you.
Now, I must also say that I am not an expert in mental health.
Yeah.
But I'll share the little knowledge that I have. I think it starts from a place of being emotionally stable. Because our emotions ultimately affect our mental health. Being aware of who I am, being aware of the fact that dichotomies in life will be there, but how now I navigate that will actually ensure that I am either healthy or unhealthy mentally. Because the issues that we're talking about here cut across all the human beings' spaces or spheres. Your spirituality, your mental health, even your physical health.
Yes.
Because again, if you're not emotionally healthy, somehow you also not be physically healthy. So one of the things then I should mention is, don't be quiet in case you feel like, hey, I'm running wild. Perhaps my expectations are not being met. Perhaps my colleagues are way beyond me. We completed college the same year. They went ahead of me. They have gotten jobs. I've been here relying on my parents. I've been trying these hustles and they are not working. Be safe with yourself. Be nice to yourself. Just call yourself for personal meditations. And meditations, I don't mean things like yoga and all that. I mean, take some steps and retreat and think through who you are, what you are, your values, your expectations, your visions, your goals. When you think through that, just know that everybody has a path that they ought to take. And your friend's path is not your path.
Yeah.
Your path is unique, is different because you are unique from even your own siblings. That's like actually, I believe, where mental health starts. It starts with us. But at the same time, in case you realize that you have gotten into challenges that you need to address, please don't be silent. Talk to a friend, talk to parents, and if that is not enough, seek a mental health consultant.
Yeah.
And I know that might be expensive, but still it's a noble idea to pursue because you'd rather not lose yourself, but do all that it takes to be able to be stabilized.
Right. I like the wholesome awareness part, that once you begin from, internally evaluating yourself and being nice to yourself, you should not be the person who's also making it hard for yourself even after all the challenges you're facing. So don't put yourself down, be nice to yourself and then reevaluate, as she's saying. I know that, there's evolutions in workplaces. I remember back before COVID, there wasn't even a mention of remote working in Kenya. And then COVID came to realize, we can work also from our houses, nini. It keeps evolving, whether in that way or technologically. Maybe something new is coming in the office tomorrow. And I'm told, you no longer need to send an email, just press a button here. There's those evolutions, whether technological, whether culture-wise, there's a new person from a different culture. Just a way to adapt to the changes. How can we keep up? Are there maybe emotional skills that I should have, some level of emotional intelligence so that I am always, adapting and not being left behind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What we are talking about is a holistic, a 360 kind of a review in terms of how work is done today.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the space of technology, it has transformed the way we work, the way we live in families. I think I'll still want to go back to the part where I should say that it all starts with you. It all starts with, are you someone who is goal-oriented? Are you someone who has a vision? What is leading you? What is pushing you into what you want to do? Because many times, one of the things I have seen that has been disastrous, especially with the youth, is the issue of peer pressure, the issue of walking with the crowds, the issue of not being me, not having something very unique that I'm following through with.
Okay.
When you have a strong conviction of what you want to do, of who you are, let me tell you, no matter what times arise where you are, you will be good to go. Now, talking about emotional then stability again, at Virtue Plus, one of the things that we do in all the programs that we engage in is that firstly, we bring the godly element. We breathe in the word of God, because there is so much stability in the word of God. The Bible again tells us that everything will pass away, but the word of God shall remain forever. So when we are doing business, when we are working with the youth, when we are doing our books, what is God's word in the business that we are doing today? And the question I actually also keep asking is, what is the word of God in the business that you are doing? How would God want you to do that business? That is one. So when it comes to our emotional stability, is what would God want you to be? How does God see you? The Bible gives us a very clear picture. God wants us whole. When Christ Jesus came, and I'm not preaching, but I have to quote the Bible because that is my foundation.
Yes.
In fact, that is one of the pillars that we are going to be using to be training the youth. When Jesus came, he came so that we can be whole. He came that he said that I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. That abundance cuts across every human life aspect. Our emotions, our health, our even our education. Because again, we realize that when we rely on God, there is a way He opens up our spirits. There is a way He opens up our minds to be able to understand. Because we don't belong to ourselves.
Yes.
We actually belong to God. Now, if we can be able to connect to His emotional intelligence, to His spiritual intelligence, to His creativity, we are sorted. And that is now how we get to match our skills with our spiritual intelligence, to match our talents with our spiritual intelligence, so that we remain whole. There are many social skills that the youth can learn today. In entrepreneurship, for example, when we use technology, I don't know whether this is the right saying here or not.
It is. Everything goes. Yeah.
I have seen the youth engage in graphics design by themselves, not having been trained, but by virtue of having done IT. I've seen youth engage in selling computers, repairing computers, selling phones, repairing phones, because they have been trained in IT. I have seen youth create websites, okay? But the youth, again, because of the spaces where we have been, think that I want to wait and get a job that I'll earn 100,000 shillings, 200,000 shillings, 500,000 shillings a month. But when you establish an establishment, a business, for example, that you are bringing on board 2-3 other sets of hands that work with you, you are serving a certain section of the community, and that within no time will bring you maybe more than the 500 that you'd have been earning
a job.
In a monthly engagement. But I am not saying that we all go into entrepreneurship. There is someone that is supposed to be teaching others that entrepreneurship.
Yes.
There is someone that is supposed to be working for the greater society, you know? So it is, again, it goes back to understanding me, identifying who I am, what is the motivation behind the skills and these talents that I have.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very nice. Let's talk about the books as we wind up. It's 8:35 a.m. in the morning. The conversation here is transitioning into the workplace, how the young people can prepare themselves, the skills, and also, of course, how to navigate mentally, physically, and in terms of the knowledge that you should acquire. One thing that I have to insist that I have learned here is, have ingenuity. Angalia uko na nini, skills zako, knowledge. It will guide you, whether with changing tides, whether with workplace relations, whether with what. As long as you know what you have, goal-oriented, you have a vision, you have knowledge and the skills, and you keep sharpening them, I think they'll survive most of the challenges and the things I have been asking here. So books, you have 6 books. Maybe you could let us know about that and the authors that you've co-authored with, some of them.
Okay. I have written 6 books. One is co-authored.
Okay.
Perhaps I can start with the one that is co-authored. The one that is co-authored is it's called The Prudent Life. And this is a synthesis of the book of Proverbs. It extracts the wisdom of King Solomon. And we spread that wisdom across all the spheres of the society, because we'll see leadership nuggets there, we'll see parenting skills, we'll see youth skills. I particularly love the wisdom of Solomon for the youth, because many times Solomon himself writes to the youth, to his own children, and he says, my son, hear me. My son, listen to me, And he gives them such wisdom. He says, these things that I'm speaking to you, tie them to your neck. Put them on your forehead. Many times in this world that we are in today, the youth feel like their parents are from the older generation and they may not be able to understand them. But there is the wisdom of a parent.
Yeah.
There is the wisdom of a spiritual parent. There is the wisdom of a boss, you know, who is your supervisor. So that is the first book. There is wisdom for everyone. Literally, you know, if you're running a business, it is there. It's called The Prudent Life, and I've co-authored that book with a friend of mine. She's called Jackie Kaimenyi.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Prudent Life.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We did that book in 2019, but perhaps my very first book is what I did in 2012. And this one, I didn't even know much about authoring then.
Okay.
I started by way of reflections. My children were much younger. Today, the young man who started work yesterday is just about 24. But I started reflecting. I was working away from them. And I would wake up every morning and write my thoughts about them. And 6 years later, that book was born. So it's parenting. It's called Parenting in the 21st Century from a single parent's perspective.
All right. That's the title.
That's the title, yes. Okay. But now it is under revision. It's not in the market because between 2012
a lot has
and
changed.
Now, a lot has changed.
I bet.
Those who are more or less young boys, today they are men who are working.
Yeah,
yes.
That parenting is different now.
Yes,
okay.
yes. My second book is on business. It is called Developing Your Own Business Success Culture. Again, as business people, until you visualize your business, until you have such a clear vision of the problem that you want to resolve through your business, you'll be making 2 steps ahead, then making another one behind. But once you have such a clarified vision, it is possible, just as I shared earlier, to actually create a thriving business that will serve you, but also serve the community that you're targeting.
Okay.
That was my second book. My third book is called The Power of Reflections. Reaching out into your core. This is more or less like a mini memoir. It has to do with my experiences as a business person, experiences as a parent, experiences as a believer, and how sticking to the word, as it were, how allowing God has helped me navigate these spaces. Even sometimes when I was working and I didn't have jobs, you know, and yet I had a family, the young men that I needed to take care of, to ensure, for example, they're in school, you know. So that's kind of a memoir, a mini memoir. In fact, I'm doing the full memoir right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
But then my other book is called The Full Armor of God.
Okay.
The Full Armor of God comes as a sequel to the Power of Reflections, because I reflected back and I'm like, what is it that enabled me to come this far?
The armor of God.
The full armor of God.
The full armor of God.
The full armor of God. Okay. If you double click on the full armor of God, it's basically from the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verses 13 downwards. It gives us 6 distinct elements of the full armor of God. There is the helmet of salvation. There is the breastplate of righteousness. There is the gospel, the shoes of the gospel, and the preparedness thereof. Then there is the belt of truth, and there is the final one is I can't remember.
The sword, the word of God.
The sword of the Spirit and the shield of faith.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
If you now double click that and literally ask yourself, yes, this is in the Bible, but how do you live those out as a believer? That is where the secret for a believer comes.
All right.
That's
That's the secret.
That's the secret.
That's the secret they've been hiding.
Yes.
It's been in plain sight, actually.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's now revealed.
Okay.
Yes.
So they should find these books.
Yes.
Where can they buy them if they're interested in getting some of that knowledge from you?
Sir, all those books, okay, except the one that I'm revising, all the other books, they can contact me first of all.
Yeah, sure.
Then they can also get them from Nuria Bookstore in town.
Okay.
Yes.
Nuria Bookstore is Biashara Street.
Yes.
Bazaar.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So get there and pick any of the ones that she's mentioned.
Yes.
Except the one that's being revised,
Yes.
which I'm sure will also be available once that's done. Yeah.
There is one more which I have not mentioned, which 4. is
okay.
I think we got to 5.
Okay.
There is the last one that I did last year, and perhaps this is my best book this far. It's called the Positioning for Change, a personal leadership guide.
Positioning for
change, a personal leadership guide.
Okay.
As we talk of transitions, you know, like the youth transitioning from college to the place of work, like even a mother transitioning, even a mother can transition from a place of work to another. Like a young girl, a young man transitioning from singlehood to marriage or to fatherhood, all those transitions in life. Or maybe you have been somewhere, you know, in life where you feel this is not it. I need to get to the next level. Transitioning from a job to another job. How should you prepare for that? That book is so practical, but also guided in the word of the Lord. Because why transition in the first place? What is the motivation behind the transition? Of course, some of them come progressively because we are making progress in life. But are there others that happen because God has been speaking to you and you have not been listening, and He is literally causing you to transition? So that's my final book.
Positioning for change.
Yes,
that's how you position yourself for change. Transition while you're transitioning. And this is, you were saying something there at the end. This is available as well.
This is available as well, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Nuria Store. Yeah. So make sure you are checking those books out. Alafu you give us feedback on, you know, the bits of wisdom that you are able to pick along. So for people who want to reach you, maybe they want to come through and see what is up. Oh, but before we get there, August, yes, the dates on August. The young people would love to get the training, mentoring, coaching. When are the dates? How can they apply if there's that possibility? And, you know, physical locations if they have to do that.
Okay. Yeah. So we have this project in August. It's a major project for us because in the past we have worked with the youth as Virtue Plus. But this is one of the major projects that we have organized. It's going to take place between 8th and 9th of August. We are going to have it in Valley Road, Sitam Valley Road.
Okay.
We are actually seeking for partnerships because we believe that there is such a huge gap that needs to be filled. And so to be able to register, you can literally get the details from perhaps my Facebook page, our Facebook page that is Virtue Plus, and there is a registration link actually there. You just need to click on the code, but also the registration link is there, and it's going to be very exciting. We have 4 external facilitators, people that are well versed with youth issues in terms of transitions, in terms of value systems. We'll be focusing on 4 main areas. 1, laying a foundation based on the Word of God. Secondly, we are looking at personal leadership, because again, we have talked about leadership here. But before you become a leader, you lead others. First of all, you have to lead yourself. So that will be paramount.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we are looking at is now the space of entrepreneurship, as we have mentioned briefly. And then we are also looking at community. And community here is, how can we as youth enhance teamwork? How can we work together? How can we come together and create solutions for the community that we live in? And so one of the deliverables, one of the expectations from that training is that we'll be coming up with groups from the trainees, whom we can be able to work with thereafter, so that we come up with solution-oriented programs at youth, or rather at group levels.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, yeah.
So you can check out Virtue Plus on Facebook, as she said. That's where the registration link is, happening in August. And then get yourself those skills necessary. I've shown you something there on the screen for you as well. on, of course, what Virtue Plus is all about and the vision. You should have your own vision. As you can see, Virtue Plus has theirs. Kuwa na personal vision. You need to learn leadership skills, but first, personal leadership. You guide yourself first before you guide others, and that will help you navigate all the transitions in life, all the different workplaces and entrepreneurship journey. Thank you very much, Rose, for creating time for us this morning. This was a wholesome conversation. I've learned a lot, and I'm hoping anyone else out there has done.
You're most welcome. It's actually indeed a delight for me, more than I think it is for you, because I believe that somebody who has listened to me there has gotten something that can be able to transform their life. But I'm actually also calling on parents to be able to support their youth to be able to come for this training, because it's gonna be transformational.
Right, and it's based on the foundations of Christian teaching. Yes. Everything, even including the books, the Word of God, they are guiding everything. So Virtue Plus, an agency focused on publishing Christian literature, training, mentoring, and coaching. And we just had a conversation here with Rose Kainda Jackson, who is the CEO and founder and lead consultant at Virtue Plus. I hope you enjoyed. If you missed any bits of it, once more, we are always giving this conversation to you on YouTube. So we'll cut this specific segment and it will be available later on. So if you are late to the show, or if you'd like to just refresh everything that we talked about, catch up later and then leave a comment as well. Taking a short break, I'll be back with more conversations like this and business and the state of the nation. Don't go too far. This is Biashara Tuesday.
So San Andrea produce a lot of runners, which is the seedlings, as compared to Chandler. And then it is also more productive in terms of fruits. So inatoa a lot more fruits faster than Chandler. So that was the inspiration behind getting into San Andrea.
Kenyatta University will hold its 55th graduation ceremony on Friday, 19th July 2024 at the main campus along the Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV and KU website, Lola app and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. The theme for the graduation ceremony is Education for Prosperity and Sustainable Development. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi. kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, ibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tuna kutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Kama wanavyosema wenyewe, tumefikiwa. Wenye upara sasa wanaweza kufanyiwa upandikizaji wa nywele kitaalam. Wiki hii tunamwangazia Daktari Winnie Maina ambaye aliamua kufanya matibabu ya kipekee ya urembo.
Alopecia is a general term for hair loss, okay? But then within that alopecia, we have so many causes of hair loss. Upara itself is hair loss, it's alopecia.
Ungana nami Jumatano hii katika kipindi cha mwanamke mwake ufahamu zaidi.
Where we ask the coolest questions in science. Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
So San Andrea produce a lot of runners, which is the seedlings, as compared to Chandler. And then it is also more productive in terms of fruits. So inatoa a lot more fruits faster than Chandler. So that was the inspiration behind getting into San Andrea.
Mtazamaji popote ulipo, unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show,
inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
Kenyatta University will hold its 55th graduation ceremony on Friday, 19th July 2024 at the main campus along the Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV and KU website, Lola app and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. The theme for the graduation ceremony is Education for Prosperity and Sustainable Development. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Are you healthy, or rather, do you maintain a healthy lifestyle? According to WHO, health is regarded as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Welcome to Focus on Health, a show on all matters health, wellness, and lifestyle. On this show, we cover a wide variety of topics inclusive of, but not limited to, dental, optical, mental, reproductive health, and so much more. Join me, Joy Bofenda, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on KUTV for compelling insights and discussions on all matters health. See you then.
Focus on Health, your weekly dose of health and wealth information on KUTV.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
Folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vilevile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
All right, I'm going to begin this newspaper review with a preamble of the Constitution of Kenya. I have it with me here, a copy that got delivered to me just a few minutes ago from the Constitutional Reform Consortium, CRECO. So, the preamble to the Constitution of Kenya, something that you should be thinking about. We, the people of Kenya, acknowledging, so I'll be doing them, I'll be numbering what you need to take a note of, just the main word, yeah? Acknowledging the supremacy of the Almighty God of all creation, honoring those who heroically struggled to bring freedom and justice to our land, proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation, respectful of the environment, which is our heritage, and determined to sustain it to the benefit of future generations, committed to nurturing and protecting the well-being of the individual, the family, communities, and the nation, recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law, exercising our sovereign and inalienable right to determine the form of government of our country, and having participated fully in the making of this constitution, adopt, enact, and give the constitution to ourselves and to future generations. God bless Kenya. That's the preamble to the Constitution of Kenya. Today, we'll have a look at chapter 12 of the Constitution. And it's important that I also read chapter 1. I'm just being reminded that this is the most important bit of the Constitution. Chapter 1 starts like this. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. Think about that as we begin this newspaper review. A lot of unconstitutional activities have been happening in this republic since the Kenya Kwanza government came into power in September of 2022. We are speaking the appointment of CASs, which has now been suspended by President William Ruto. We are speaking the offices of the spouses of the president, the deputy president, and the prime cabinet secretary. We are speaking about the latest appointment into an independent task force to have a look at the debt situation in the republic, where now, as of yesterday, High Court, I see here information from our newsroom showing that the High Court of Kenya has directed the matter to be mentioned on July 23rd, and Justice Lawrence Mugambi has blocked this task force from embarking on the job following a petition by someone in Nakuru, a citizen who is a Nakuru-based surgeon. So this matter is in court, and President William Ruto has been dealt a blow. The president of the Law Society of Kenya has also declined her appointment into this task force. I have with me on this set today on the panel Dennis Kimani. Dennis Kimani, he is the chairperson of Youth Green Society. We've had conversations for years on Biashara Tuesday, whether it's on the newspaper review or on the State of the Nation. Dennis Kimani was also part of the young people who've been voicing vehemently their concerns against the republic, against the government, against the incompetencies, the runaway corruption, and unfortunately also did meet with injustice. Yeah, utumishi kwa wote walipatana na yeye in the Nairobi CBD on the June 25th, and we'll get to speak about his experience then and if his resilience still stands. The events of June 25th are detailed here on the front of the Daily Nation, and it's how MPs fled, how we fled. That's the title of the Daily Nation, a narration from the August House on what happened to them trying to escape the protesters' wrath on the June 25th. So Dennis Kimani will let us know of the events of that day, on how they unfolded and where he was at. But Brian Sengeli also joining us on set, a public policy and governance analyst and professional who's dedicated his fight or his advocacy for the rights of the minority and marginalized communities in Kenya. Through the organization that he works with, he's been able to empower over 500,000 community members. He let us know about that. And because the conversation on civic education is happening currently, hot and ripe, even with the protests and maandamano and keeping the government into check, the work that Brian Sengeli is doing is very important, and we'll get to know how that is going to work out leading into the next few days of events. The IEBC bill, which is being sent today to an act by President William Ruto in KICC. There's so much to speak about. So let's introduce the gentlemen, get your reactions online, and also see the headlines. Dennis Kimani, welcome back.
Yeah.
Happy to see you're healthy. Greet us.
Thank you everyone. Good morning all Gen Zs, millennials and people of Kenya. Today I'll just start by saying I pledge my loyalty to nature and the life of the planet. My greenness and duty is to defend the green color of my republic. So help me God.
All right. So help him God. You're healthy, and we'll get into the details later. But Brian, who is here for the first time, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself to our people.
Thank you so much. My name is Engeli Brian, and thank you for inviting me for this particular interview. Good morning to our viewers. It's great to be here to discuss the state of the nation. As we always say, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. This is a time where decades are happening, and we are glad that we are actually caught in the moment to witness the momentous things that are going to happen and change our future. Thank you.
All right. Very excited to be also in this momentous time in history. In June 25th, when I was in the CBD myself, having a look at, the young people, joining the young people to voice our concerns to the government, I could feel the electric historic moment. I knew that at that very moment, I was walking through a history book. I was walking inside a story that will be read by generations to come. So it is very apt that you mentioned decades are happening in weeks. There are times where, nothing happens in decades, and then there are weeks where decades happen, and these are one of those. Let's have a look at the headlines, gentlemen, before we get into other details. The Daily Nation says how we fled, And here on Tuesday 25th, just after members of parliament had passed the controversial finance bill of 2024 against intense public pressure, youthful protesters who had been kept off the National Assembly for most of the day breached the security and fence of the hallowed August House. For members of parliament who were in the premises, all hell broke loose as they sought to escape the protesters' wrath. Some of the lawmakers here narrate the nation the events of the fateful day. Page 6 and 7, we have Millie Odhiambo, Super North Member of Parliament, narrating her experience where she was seated at and the confusion in the tunnel to Bunge Towers. We have Didmas Baraza, who also says there's a youth who identified him and he said that is the usual MP in a cap. Na alikuwa amejificha nyuma of another member of parliament trying to make his way to Bunge. Anasema he saw death with his own eyes. I don't think... Okay, let me reserve my comments on Didmas Baraza and seeing death for the first time. Bishop Jackson Kosgei, nominated member of parliament, also has his narration on what happened to him, saying that they told him that he was a good man and they escorted him out of the building. Yeah, aliponea. Walimwambia wewe, kuna bahati wewe bishop wewe. Ni vile tumekusamea, Mungu ametuonekania. They have an image of parliament burning here on the Daily Nation. 25th. This is an image by Dennis Onsongo of the Nation. That's the Daily Nation. Deno, tuanze na wewe kwa sababu we need to also get to hear what happened to you on the day and even the days after. June 25th, momentous day in history. Ulikaribia mbali sana na parliament, ulikaribia karibu without giving too much away to whoever might be watching.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Yeah. It's great to see you today.
Yes, great to see you.
My friend Brian has said, we are having decades in weeks. We have been waiting for this time for a very, very long time. We cried 2 months before whatever happened in June 25th happened. We tried to tell this government, listen to us, the finance bill is punitive, try and change. But they never heeded to our call. Yeah. So we had to go to the streets. We started and kicked off on Tuesday, where everyone was in town, heading to State House. This was the day, the first reading of the bill. So everybody were in town. We were trying to head to State House, yes. To Parliament. So myself, I was leading to Parliament through the Uhuru Highway. A lot of tear gas canisters were coming our way. It was a cloud of smoke from everywhere, sounds that you cannot even tell if it's bullets or anything else, but hopefully God helped us and we came out of there. What to say is that the rogue police were shooting at us, throwing tear gas, but we had to surrender. So they came for me when I was kneeling, my hands were up, tear gas had hit my eyes, I was bleeding from the nose, and they carried me heavy, shoulder high. So they almost put me in their truck. But you guys, you are good. The news people, the journalists, you're good. When they saw the cameras, they released me immediately. And that's how my life was saved.
All right.
Yes.
We saw the videos and very concerning, of course. We felt like we'd lost you and future generations. Yeah. Hopefully that is intact, yeah?
Yeah, yes. The future generation are intact.
All right. And Deno had also gone hiding for a minute there, or missing for a minute there, without giving away what exactly happened. But as you can see, for those who are concerned, there are people who are calling me asking, hey, mmepeleka wapi Deno, mmempata? Deno is alive and well for all those who are concerned, and we are grateful for the messages and the concerns. Yeah. Asante sana Deno for still making time even after the troublesome times.
We are not relenting until we have a full liberation of Kenya and revolution.
Okay. Yeah. Brian, let us know from your point of view the events of June 25th and your general reactions.
As I said, we are having a moment where decades are happening in weeks or in a week. And perhaps to give a history of where we've come from as a country and where we are at the moment. As a country, we've had incremental changes that as a citizen, we are seeing that these incremental changes, they are too little and they're not getting us to where we want to be. And that's when now the Kenyan youth have now awakened that spirit of public accountability for, that's a responsibility for citizens to call the political class to account for what they are doing with their particular positions. Recently, we saw a lot of events happening. It began by we saw a judge being shot, and then after that, we saw the controversial finance bill, and later on we saw reject protests by Gen Z. And these are I want to commend them because this is what we want at the moment. It has led to government reacting, and that would mean that they are not only hitting below the belt, they are hitting the vitals. Yeah, when you see the government reacting, it means that they are hitting the vitals, and that's what we need in the moment. We've always lived in a moment of deceit, a moment of political dictatorship. And I think time is long gone when citizens don't, used to fear the government of the day and even asking for accountability from them. So I think it is quite a momentous period, and we are looking forward to seeing many revolutions that are going to bring positive changes for this particular nation.
All right. That's how Brian looks at it from the history on what has brought us here, the incremental changes, the revolutions that have happened. And of course on Sunday as well, Sabasaba happened on a day where the young people also came together to hold a concert for those who lost their lives so far in this anti-government protest, which began as Reject Finance Bill, but now it's Occupy Everywhere. It's accountability that is being sought from the government. Page 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation, as I said, if you have a copy of it yourself, you can read a narration of the parliament raid. That's what they're calling it. A number of lawmakers, especially from the Kenya Kwanza side, had to be sneaked out in ambulances to avoid the wrath of the mob. I was in the CBD seeing those ambulances coming out of parliament, and they're calling it an assault on parliament that came as a shocker as the public displayed rage against the passage of the bill. A picture here, a section of the members' dining hall at Parliament buildings that was vandalized on the same day. And here, that is a couple of members of Parliament who are being quoted. And there's, while in the tunnel, a section of MPs who are allied to Azimio will be heard accusing their Kenya Kwanza colleagues of being the source of the reasons they were running away. So conversations in Swahili which are quoted here saying, nyinyi ndio mmetuletea hii shida na ujeuri wenu. Mngesikiza wa Kenya kwa hii mambo ya finance bill, atungekuwa kwa hii shida. Loosely translated to, you are the cause of our troubles and the reason why we are in this situation. Had you listened to Kenyans opposing to the finance bill, you wouldn't be here. So recent events have highlighted the importance of transparency and accountability in public spending. The anti-government protests are calling for fiscal responsibility, coupled with what the president's decision was to scrap budgets of certain offices and to also set up a debt inquiry task force. This also began way back from before June 25th, and now it's become a whole conversation on we the citizens must know what is the government doing with our taxes, what is it doing with our money, what is it doing with the loans they are borrowing in our name. Brian, I'd like to begin from that very high note, which is I have the Constitution here with me, and I'm just looking at Chapter 12, the Public Finance Act, the principles and frameworks of public finance. Yeah. You maybe, from your own point of view as an analyst, the key provisions in this Constitution that I have here, such as the Finance Act or any other that allow citizens to hold the government into account and empower us to use this Constitution to hold them into account when it comes to matters of fiscal responsibility.
I've actually looked at some of the headlines for the newspaper, and this actually informs also the conversation. We've seen the members of parliament recounting how the Gen Zs invaded the parliament. Yeah. And I don't find anything wrong with that because the employers were going to have a conversation with their employees. And there was nothing wrong with that. These people, they were not armed. And therefore, there was no cause for alarm, because what they wanted is, they wanted to go there and present their memoranda and have a very candid conversation with their MPs. However, this was actually misinterpreted. And when you look at our legal instruments, the Constitution of Kenya, under Chapter 12, when you look specifically under Article 201, it actually enshrines the principles of public finances. And it actually clearly says that public finances should be very open. There should be public accountability with public participation. There should be prudent management and use of public resources, and also clarity in physical reporting. And therefore, when you look at those principles, it informs and lays ground for citizen participation. One of it was public participation. Public participation, the Constitution provides for citizens to exercise that particular right, either directly or indirectly. Indirectly, we are speaking of through their representatives, through their MPs. And the inversion to the parliament is when the MP, the youth felt like during the public participation forums, their voices were not heard. And therefore, it actually forced them to go and have a physical meeting with their MPs, and there was nothing wrong with that. Other legal instrument that provides for a legal basis for this is the Public Finance Management Act of 2012. And this particular act, it presents a very unique avenue for citizens to engage, because it provides a structure, it mandates it to provide a structure for engaging the citizens, whether public forums, whether it's on media. They should be able to put up forums for citizens to engage and have their input in the public budget making processes before it's considered. Secondly, this particular act, it actually mandates the government to put out financial statements earlier, so that citizens can scrutinize and arm themselves with necessary information, so that they can hold the leadership in place into account. And lastly, this particular act as well, it actually establishes the office of the Auditor General, of which it's an independent office that has the mandate of auditing the public funds and reporting to the Parliament. And these are some of the avenues that are provided by this particular Public Finance Management Act. When you look at the Constitution as well, under Article 114, it actually grants the National Assembly a mandate of oversight over the public funds. And that's why now we've seen a lot of erosion of trust among Kenyan citizens. They have felt like their view has not been considered and taken seriously by these particular people. They have failed in their representation role. They have failed in their oversight role. And what they are doing currently is they are just a rubber-stamping authority of the executive. And therefore, it's because of this emasculation of the parliament that now citizens have decided now to take the power that they actually delegated under Article 1, that the power belongs to the people. And they want to exercise it according to the Constitution.
And they want to exercise it according to the Constitution. And the Constitution says here that the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Yani, if the democratically elected representatives do not show up for work, then the citizens can decide to do it directly by inspecting the work premises, as it was done on June 25th by the young people. So Chapter 8 is where you can get the legislature, the establishment of the role of parliament, and Brian has mentioned Article 114, which is about the money bill, and of course the role of oversight, recommendation of the relevant committee of the assembly after taking into account the views of the cabinet secretary responsible for finance. That's Chapter 114. And then I was having a look here at, of course, that's Article 114. And then I have here the Chapter 12, where Public Finance Act is at. We'll have a look more into that. So directly or indirectly through the elected representatives. The events of the June 25th directly having a look at the lawmakers and going to have a conversation to them on parliament. They know. Yes. Wanasema it is going to cost 150 million to repair the effects of this direct engagement with parliament. On page 7 of the Daily Nation, Gen Z protests. House repair to cost over 150 million Kenyan shillings. A picture of security officers along Parliament Road restraining demonstrators from accessing Parliament buildings in Nairobi. They should have wrote assessing. You know, it was just an assessment. Accessing to assess. The gory images of wanton destruction and desecration of Parliament Square by those masquerading as peaceful protesters are highly regrettable. That's Speaker Moses Wetangula quoted there saying. I want to ask this question to you, Deno, as you respond. So the Constitution offers direct or indirect engagement. Yes. Brana said it has come to a point where now it seems the legislature is just rubber stamping what the executive wants to happen. Finance bill. Walisema yes, yes, yes. Even after the president said, okay, let's just take it back. It seems the MPs were still, you know, on the yes. Even the question asked on, you know, what happens now the next year in terms of our budgeting. And then the MPs were like, yeah, muna expect kitu aje na mshakata finance bill. Why did it have to be a direct engagement now that the Constitution already offers indirect and stipulations that empower us to oversight the government?
I will start by saying that it's sure that we elected these MPs, but we remember 2022 we had something that we are calling a wave, a UDA wave. Most of these MPs that were elected through UDA, they were not elected because they were the preferables. Because it is just because of the UDA umbrella. We already told them to vote no. A lot. When I started this, I told you that it was 2 months ago before only 10 people were going to town to reject this finance bill. If they could have taken us seriously at that point, nothing would have happened. Even the 150 million shillings for renovation would not have happened. But again, you see, we elected this government not for administration but as constructors. It's like we gave them the work of going to construct this Kenya for us. And they're not constructing new roads. They are renovating a state house that is already there. It's good. They are renovating DP's residential office in Karen that is just a new house less than 5 years. You see, priorities upside down. So we just gave them a greetings. Actually, I'm seeing Didmas Baraza was the first person to run away, but he's the first person to shout in Twitter saying that this government is working. He's the first person to shoot a young person just because of elections. So what was he going to do in parliament if he cannot listen to the people that voted for him? It is so sad, but it is something that has come to Kenya that we still have some good people in this parliament. Because one potato it spoils the others. Yes. But we want to tell them today the president is going to reconstitute and pass the IEBC bill. I want to tell them categorically without fear of contradiction, we are going to recall you. That is something that we are going to take. When I'm coming out of this, I'm going to IEBC Anniversary Towers. We are sure that IEBC will be in place because we are tired of your games. We are tired of you getting 2 million shillings in parliament toilets so that you can come and deprive Kenyans their rights. You cannot even pay JSSC teachers. A lot of things are happening in Kenya that are wrong. IMF and World Bank, they are giving out reports that the monies that we give you, it is not monies for buying expensive watches, expensive shoes. It is monies to sponsor development. But we have really seen that we have no trust with this government. Ruto must go, and that is the only way we are going to ensure that Kenya future is we have a Kenyan future. All right. I want to put about the finances. Let me ask you a question. Ask me. Auditor General. When I ask you a question, you say independent or dependent. Okay. Auditor General. Independent. A control of budget. Independent. KRA.
independent
national treasury.
Compromised.
You see, so that is the problem. We already saw the problem.
Yes.
The problem with Kenya is because National Treasury, that is supposed to be an independent body, it is in the pocket of William Ruto. So the money that is supposed to build roads is given to MPs because he wants them to pass what he wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the work that they're mandated to do, they're using this as a channel of influencing the legislature.
Yes, so we have to occupy National Treasury. Yeah.
Occupy National Treasury. First time I'm hearing it here.
Yeah.
So, and interns have been occupying MOH. We'll get into that as well. This occupation has now spread across different sectors of the nation. But still sticking to matters of public finance, just getting it back from Brian. Anaongelea watches, red bottoms, expenditure, travels, and here on the Article 211, chapter 12, financial management shall be responsible and fiscal reporting shall be clear. The question on the mind of many Kenyans now is, even after the president declaring that we have scrapped this office, mesema to espouse na first lady tumetoa basi, mesema to he also, some 47 state agencies also dealt with, also saying there's going to be austerity measures, and the constitution says financial management shall be responsible and fiscal reporting shall be clear. When speak clarity, are there avenues in which mwananchi kama mimi naweza amka kesho, I go check what is my county government spending, or are there challenges which have been there in effectively implementing these acts? There have been challenges which have caused the young people now to say, okay, since you're not implementing this in the constitution, since you're not following this, let's now directly engage you at State House. Let's come occupy it. Let's come occupy Parliament. Are there places where fiscal reporting is clear? And if not, what are these challenges which are blocking the way of implementation?
Well, looking at the things, I would begin by giving it's like a proverb. And it's a story about the monkeys who asked gods to give them long tails. And therefore it's up to the monkeys to know how to live with their long tails. We also asked God for this government. We also have to find a way of living with our government. And what Gen Zs are doing, they are doing God's work. Yeah, they are doing God's work. When you look at the provisions that empowers citizens to participate in the oversight of public resources, you find that the Constitution clearly under Chapter 12, it provides that the public finances should be open. There should be clarity when it comes to fiscal policies. But our government we've had a history, a history of deceit. We've had a history that is not good enough. And it actually depicts a very grim picture of where we are as a country and the amount of challenges that we are facing as a country. One of the challenges that we are facing in implementing this particular, the Public Finance Management Act, is lack of political goodwill. There need to be some good sense of political goodwill from the political class, from the executive itself, because this is the leading, this is the arm that is being led by the CEO of the country. They need to depict a picture of promoting accountability and transparency in the public finances. But we've seen officers flaunting wealth, walking around with a lot of cash. And this actually, it is actually seen as a mockery to the poor, because why the hell are you using a lot of this, walking around with a lot of resources, and yet we have schools that are underfunded. We are having students who are not going to school. Secondly, when you look at our public participation framework and architecture, it is not well structured. And that's why we're calling for the government to put in place a well-structured public engagement framework to ensure that it is all-inclusive, and every other view that, or every other a proposal that every other Kenyan is proposing should be considered, because some of these policies that are being developed should reflect the real issues that people are facing on the ground. Secondly, we are having issues with the capacity one of the citizens to engage in the public policy, public finance, budget making processes. When you look at the reports that have been put out there, these reports, they are very complex. They are very complex. They cannot be analyzed by a normal human being, a normal youth from the street or from the village. It is very complex. Thirdly, when you look at also the bureaucracies when it comes to access to information, when you file for a right to information, to access some of this information, it takes time for you to get it, and therefore it undermines also the transparency of the offices. And it's because of these reasons that people have now lost their trust in their leadership. They have lost their trust in the public institutions that are supposed to be independent. When you look at Office of Auditor General and the Office of Control of the Budget, they give out very good reports, but some of these reports, they have very eloquent and good recommendations, but the recommendations, they are not followed up and they are not taken up by the executive and implemented. And therefore, one thing that the government have failed, especially the legislature, is following up on the recommendations given out in these reports, because it is what is supposed to cover up the gaps that has been there when it comes to mismanagement and misuse of the public resources. And it is up to now the responsibility of citizens now to engage in these processes. How? By engaging in various ways. They can engage through, now we are seeing a lot of engagement on social media. We've seen young people coming out and engaging each other, trying to enlighten each other when it comes to finance bill. When you go to the village 2 years ago, when
no one knew what a finance bill is.
No one knew actually what the finance bill was. But at the moment, even if you ask a very old grandmother from the village, they will ask you whether we are rejecting or we are accepting. And therefore, it's a conversation that is gaining momentum even in the interior parts of the country. The young people could also engage in some of these public forums that has been organized by government, CSOs, in order to build their capacity and engagement in the budget making processes, because it's actually important for them to have this information so that they can hold their government into account. And also citizens have a right to request information from some of these independent offices. You can actually request and be served with these reports. And what we want from these independent offices, like for instance, when you look at the offices or Office of Auditor General, what the youth want is some of this report, we want them to be published. We want them, the popular version of it, a version that is simplified for a common mwananchi to read, understand, and be able to point out where there has been mismanagement of public fund. And therefore, by doing so, we shall be exercising our role as stipulated within the Constitution.
Oversighting over the government.
Yes, Dennis. On BBI, they had a very good aspect on the public participation. What I think is the gap that the 2010 Constitution is having, it is a public participation commission, because this commission is what will tell what is enough public participation. You can even ask 10 people and then you say that is
public participation done.
Statistics will just say that is a house for 1,000 people. You see, that is not enough public participation. Going forward, I think the parliament should come up with a public participation commission. Yes.
All right. That will help us in bridging that gap. Nakumbuka some time back you say public participation is just physical exercise.
Yeah, it's like PE. It's never accounted for.
It's never accounted for. The implementation is also a question that Brian has pointed out there, that, the Auditor General comes up with figures and says, this is what happened, this is what was mismanaged, but the implementation against those cases of corruption or the mismanagement is what is lacking. And I have figures here from Isiolo Stadium. Just like the Auditor General who comes out to tell us this is how much money we've lost in this ministry in typing errors, this is how much we've lost there. In Isiolo, the stadium, international stadium that was supposed to be constructed, has been financed from 2019 I have figures from 2019 to 2022. So in 2019, the allocated funds were 150 million. Misused funds were 60 million. Discrepancies were 30 million. The remarks on these projects are significant delays, considerable amount of funds was unaccounted for, which led to incomplete work and stalled progress. The next year, allocated funds 200 million. Misused funds 80 million. Discrepancies 50 million. Remarks, irregular procurement processes, contracts awarded without proper tendering. It remained incomplete despite the allocation. 2021-2022 financial year, 250 million allocated. Misused funds 100 million. Discrepancies 70 million. Remarks, over invoicing was a major issue with projects cost significantly inflated. Additionally, the work completed was substandard, failing to meet the required specifications. Deno, should we then occupy everything? Because now, the Isiolo, there is a problem. In my county, there is misappropriation. There is a lapse in the offices which are supposed to be independent in keeping this government in check, or every other government in check. How do we make sure, before we ever get a public participation commission, before we ever get to a point where there is independence in these institutions, what should we do? What should we do? Kwanza hii Isiolo, it seems every year they mismanage, wanaongezewa budget the next year, and they mismanage some more, and they add some more mismanagement to the next year.
Even in Daily Nation, the last page, City Hall splashed shillings 1.2 billion on trips, controller of budget says. What I say is that I also saw a lot, the counties are also losing our money at the jury, at the lawyers. When they're going to lawyers, there is where money is being lost, because they are giving a lot of money to laws, law firms, so that they can steal with them. I don't know what case can cost 150 million in a year.
There's also a 1 billion bill in Nairobi County.
Yes, so that's very, very low. So what I want to say is that going forward, our finances are not going to be meant for vehicles. We are going to occupy everywhere. First and foremost, I know this message will reach the people in the occupation. National Treasury must be released from executive.
Yes.
And I will say here again, William Ruto, Wetangula, and Martha Koome, they are all equal. There is no one that is bigger than the other. The only thing that Ruto is bigger to them is because he signs bills. Otherwise, he should not be the controller of money. He is not the distributor of money. National Treasury must be independent. If Kenya wants to have independence in their money and accountability in what we do, let's follow what Okiya Mtata is saying. Chapter 12 of the Constitution.
Yes.
It was carried away from the old Mzungu Constitution and brought into this Constitution, because when we took Uhuru Kenyatta took office in 2013, a lot of things, not even everybody, even those people who constituted the Constitution, they didn't know what it was meaning in every page.
Yes.
So a lot of things were carried from the old and used in the new Constitution. But the good thing is that even you now in the morning, you have your own Constitution.
Squeezy, I work with it now with like a Bible.
Yes. I also saw there is a teens guide Constitution.
Yes.
That we are going to teach even the teens what is meant in the Constitution. I want to remember and say thank you to Rasta. I think you have seen Rasta. Rasta was the guy in the protest who was just carrying the Constitution, and he was just raising the Constitution high up and telling the police, just use this Constitution.
Yes, we don't need weapons.
We don't need weapons. But you see, even the same police, they know when they go to the DCI, the DCI is going to sanitize them. You saw the rush that the DCI went to look for the people who went into parliament, the people who went to loot the jobs. They were so fast to go and look for these people. But Didmas Baraza is free.
On the front of our papers today.
Yes, in the front of the paper is free. So why is the government institutions sanitizing people who are like killing our future? The people who just want to see their bank accounts full. Yes. You see, the other day, the same person who shot someone at 2022 bought an helicopter. Even Senator, which senator was it?
Who was a helicopter?
Yes, Didmas Baraza has a new helicopter. You see,
yes.
From where?
fiscal irresponsibility
Where
of
is that
public
money coming
funds,
from?
isn't it?
Now I'm seeing even people, if it is from Sport Pesa, it's okay. But we are seeing people who were elected the other day. They are coming up with helicopters everywhere. There's someone who's told me, and that was is true. Go to the Senate parking and go to the MP's parking. There's a difference. Senators go with even pro box to Senate, but MPs, you saw even they have Jaguars, they have Porsches.
Yes, I've seen one with a very serious Vogue.
Yeah, you see, where are these guys getting this money?
I just a first-time member of parliament under 2 years. Yeah. So yesterday I was having a conversation with another friend of mine who isn't on this show today, and they pointed out the fact that this is what now has led to the glorification of government positions and member of parliament to become a governor, to become a president. It's no longer about I want to go and do something for the people. It's niliona huyo aliingia mambo yake ikaenda sawa. So it means I need also to get into this position and ensure I get something for myself. That's why the young people are angry, because they're not getting these benefits. And the other thing pointed out is the handouts which have been given to the previous generations. The young people saizi ukiuliza, if you did a survey, ni umwe kula pesa ya nani, umwe kula pesa ya mbunge mgani, or hiyo pesa ambayo wanasema ina distribute time ya campaign. It's really hard to find a young person who's had anything or received a handout.
Mimi nakuaga campaign na mimi nakuaga protest. That money is eaten by those people who are strong. Kwa sababu not everyone, like me, how small I am, you don't
get to the front line to pick 100 bob.
A lot of people are there pushing you everywhere. Even in page 10 of Daily Nation, Obado corruption case starts today. You see, the DCI is saying
it's not off the hook.
It's still off the hook. But tell me, how old is this case?
Yes, from the previous administration, isn't it? When he was governor back.
So the DCI and the DPP, they are doing things that are not helping Kenyans. Because mwizi wa kuku akiiba mnamnyonga. Huyo akiiba mamilioni mnamsanitize.
Brian, it seems the independence of most of our institutions have been compromised. If I can pick up from Deno mentioning the DCI, the ODPP cases being dropped, even into this new administration, we saw corruption cases zilipotea tu. That is still fiscal irresponsibility. Hiyo ni pesa ambayo tunahitaji. We saw the former governor of Nyamira, I believe, who got acquitted and gave back just a few millions of the hundreds of millions that he already misappropriated. What can we do to make sure our institutions are independent? We might occupy State House, but then, DCI wanafanya mambo yao huko kando. So we might fix parliament, we might occupy parliament, or DCI anatukujia kesho, because bado amekuwa influenced in some way. What can we do to strengthen these institutions? Because it feels like the problem might actually not even be Ruto. Shida ni the institutions that are supposed to keep Ruto in check, which are also weak, including the parliament.
I think we could have started this show by observing a moment of silence for the death of our independent institutions. It is actually seriously dead. And what the government is doing actually is they are just flogging a dead horse. We have a leadership that have serious integrity issues. People who fervently shy away from the real problems. People who have some kind of fire in their stomach. Whenever they hear about progressive change, they start to move from their seats. And these are people who are actually sabotaging the development agenda of the government of the day. And we've seen the government of the day being reluctant on acting on these people. Because the moment you let someone to sabotage your plan, then it means that you will not be able to achieve some of your objectives. Recently, we've seen reports about a certain CS. I think he went abroad and he was involved in an altercation, I think, over some very controversial issues. And these are someone who is supposed to observe Chapter 6 of the Constitution. This is someone who is supposed to observe the public officer's conduct. And therefore, we have a government that is seriously sick. They are very allergic to the truth. The moment you tell them the truth, they become fidgety, yeah. And therefore, when you look at where we are currently, as we said when we started, the problem is not our laws. The problem is those mammals who have been put in position to implement these laws. These people, they are very they are not trusted. Yeah. The other day we saw the conflict of interest bill being mutilated by the senators. Yeah. These are the people that people have entrusted with power to go and legislate, put in place measures to ensure that corruption is fought by tooth, fought by spirit, by word, and by action. And these are some of the people that we can equate to a certain story of a lady who hid a hyena that was being pursued by the whole village.
Yes.
After the whole village is gone, the hyena turned around and said, now I'm very hungry and I want to eat your kid.
Yeah.
These are some people who can turn around and eat you guys. And they are not, we can no longer trust them. Some of our institutions, as we've said, they are not independent. They are very dependent. They are being captured. They have been captured. And it's actually a very sad state of affairs, because these are institutions that are supposed to act like the backup for the citizens. And what we need to do is we need a complete overhaul. And that's what Gen Zs are actually calling for. We want resignation of some of these people, because even those people in management of this particular parastatals and state commissions, they have serious integrity issues. And there's no way a person with integrity issues is going to, there's no way a hyena is going to be a judge for the chicken.
Yes.
Yeah? It is very difficult. We need to empower this particular institution so that they can perform their role adequately. We have oversight parliamentary committees. These committees, they are supposed to report regularly on how the public debt, public finance is actually being done by the government, together with the Office of Control of Budget. But we've seen complete, the silence that we've observed with some of these offices, it's actually deafening, and it's worrying.
Yes.
And that's why citizens, we have said that now we are not going to relent on our call. Let Gen Zs do the work of the God, and we are there to support them, because we need independence. And that's what our devolution actually it oversaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
The money is that these offices are being cut. The office of the First Lady, the office of the spouse, to the Deputy President, to the Prime's Cabinet Secretary, these unconstitutional offices, which is also a whole other conversation, the unconstitutionality of the current government. Everything seems to be outside of the provisions which are there stipulated in the law. And as you said, we don't have a problem with what is in here. And I also saw a very similar statement from Okia Omtata saying the problem is not the law or the constitution. Everything is clear. The law is very clear, and they say that very often. The people who are supposed to be taking care of that law are the problem. Now we have people who've now been playing very funny games with Kenyans. Put pressure, we give you a lie, and then we tell you to metenga, and then 6 months later that has not been implemented. We add you a lie on top, because I remember it was on this show when we talked about the travel expenditure of the government. President William Ruto came later to say they've cut their travel expenditure. This year, the reports coming in say that figure has doubled, even with the restrictions which were published by the Public Service Commission, stipulating who should travel, how many people they should carry, how much money they should carry. But eventually, they still spent way much more than what they were spending earlier, even before that declaration. Now, President William Ruto says, atakata hizo ofisi ni sawa. How can we track that money? Is there a way that we can find out hii pesa iko wapi and where is it being taken and being channeled to in the right places?
I think before my colleague chips in, just to begin, when you look at page 4 of the Standard, it actually talks about Kenya awaits cabinet changes as Ruto takes time to act on his word. when the government took over the realms of power, we saw the president very charismatic and enthusiastic in ensuring that we live within our means. We even saw him taking on some austerity measures. Yeah, some of them they went without a salary, I think, for a month. But after a few months, they actually forgot. And recently, we've seen the same thing that the president has actually said, that he's going to ensure that their austerity measures are being observed within the government. But now, having come from that particular history, we are used to the president's words. Yeah, I'm going to do it very soon. I'm going to do it in 6 months. Yeah, tumepanga. And we are not going to go by his words, but we are going to only be bound by his actions. When you look at page 4, it actually highlights some of the status of Ruto's Friday last week promises.
Yes.
And some of these promises, you realize that, for example, when he said that he's not going to there's no allocation of funds to the office of the amorphous offices of the spouses, the first lady. Yeah, we have not received any update so far from the cabinet, prime cabinet secretary as well. We've received no update. We've not received any update on Harambe's for government officers. And therefore, it is because of this communication breakdown from the government that now citizens are calling for serious restructuring in the government. I've checked the Daily Nation, and there's a page where we have seen they've written deserted Gachagua.
Gachagua isolated
Gachagua. And this tells you that there's a very serious problem within even the government itself, because if you cannot be able to manage your internal affairs, then how are you going to manage the affairs of the country?
True.
We've seen Gachagua coming out and playing to his on public gallery. And when when an alligator tells you that the crocodile is sick, you don't have to doubt, because it is true that the crocodile is sick. The government is not well. Yes. So we need to receive an update from the government where that particular budget that has been removed from these amorphous offices, where is it being channeled? Because I've seen also on Standard whereby there is issue around on page 5. Education reforms run into headwinds to underfunding. Schools are actually having a problem with underfunding.
Yes.
When the president took into power, and the moment he actually placed down the Bible, he promised that he's going to work for Kenyans, and he put in place a task force. It is the reforms. It's called the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform.
Yeah.
But you realize that some of this recommendation that has been highlighted in that task force, it has been sabotaged when it comes to implementation. Why? Because one of the reasons is resources. There's no resources. Resources have been channeled elsewhere. Resources have been channeled to renovation of state houses, state lodges. Some of these buildings, they are renovated every 5 years, and it's only one person who lives there. When you look at a budget like now, we saw the other day a report that the president and the deputy president are receiving house allowance. They're receiving house allowance, and yet
they still have a free house.
Still, we have provided them with a free house, and therefore some of these resources, they need to be channeled into basic services like education, like healthcare. We've seen the medical interns spending the cold night at the MOH, at the Afya House. And these are people who are agitating for their rights. These are students, these are our kids, our brothers and sisters who have spent years in schools grinding, education, acquiring this knowledge. And just to be told at the end of the day that we are going to send you abroad. Yeah, I saw the other day, I think it's the cabinet secretary for a cabinet secretary saying that youths are supposed to register on the National Employment Authority website. When you go to that website, there are thousands of jobs, but these jobs, they are casual jobs.
Yeah.
So how
you cannot tell a medic to go to a casual
you cannot
job.
tell a person who have studied 5 years at the university just to obtain a degree with hard-earned money that the parent has worked so hard to milk the cow and sell coffee to pay for the school fees for them to go and be a housewife abroad in conditions that are very, very risky. So it doesn't make sense with the current state of affairs.
Okay. Deno, I only have 1 minute. I'm sorry, it's 9:57 in the morning, so you have to be done with your submission by 9:58 and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Please go and wrap it up on anything else I might have left.
Okay. What I just want to say is that the drunk guy did better than the corrupt parishioner. That is the only thing I can say, because all these things are coming after he told us that he gave a lot of expectation to us. The only thing that kills someone and the only thing that can make you crucify someone is the expectation you put them in their head. So he gave us a lot of expectation, but nothing is coming through. So we want to tell him that we have seen our fellow Gen Zs and Kenyans and Kenyan youths are sleeping outside the MOH building because of lacking jobs.
Yes.
Just the other day, the government came up with the community health promoters. My question is, we have Red Cross, we have St. John's ambulance, we have scouts. Why can those people go to those things and then the CHP becomes interns, people who are medics?
Yes.
You see, me, I cannot be treated by a CHP because it's just somebody who has been collected in the village, and then is put there, given Panadols at the moment
coverage.
You see, and people who have gone to school for 6 months, for 6 years, they have no jobs.
Yes.
Just to finish up, I want to say that we are not tiring. We are not tiring. We are very energetic. We are going to occupy everywhere. We are going to come and greet you. We have your numbers. We have the anonymous. Thank you, anonymous, for helping us through. We have the anonymous. We are going to do what God's work is.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Deno and Brian Sengeli, for coming through to the show and for that discussion on how we can hold the government accountable. Citizens have the right to do so, and what we were discussing here mostly was on what is provided on Chapter 12 of the Constitution. Just to remind you, Chapter 12 of the Kenyan Constitution, the Public Finance Act, enshrines principles to public access to budget information, public participation in budgeting, and oversight by Parliament and the Auditor General. Just to close the show up, thank you very much for keeping it here on KUTV Rise Today. This has been Biashara Tuesday, a very exciting morning here, discussing transition to the workplace and also the state of the nation when it comes to matters of finance. To leave you with Article 3 of Chapter 1 of the Constitution. Chapter 1 says, sovereignty of the people and supremacy of this Constitution. Article 3, every person has an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend this Constitution. Any attempt to establish a government otherwise than in compliance with this Constitution is unlawful. Thank you very much. My name is Richard OKENYE. Interact with me on social platforms at Richard_OKENYE. May your week be fruitful. May your profits be high, but your humor higher, so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.